The text came at 11:30 on a Tuesday night, glowing like a little middle finger on my phone screen. Working overnight with Joe tonight. Don't wait up. I read it 3 times, standing in our garage with boxing gloves still on, sweat dripping down my face. The heavy bag swayed slightly from my last punch. Danny had sent it like she was letting me know she'd be late picking up milk. Casual, breezy, like I was supposed to smile and go back to my life. I'm Mike Sullivan, 44 years old, logistics manager at Brennan Distribution, married 17 years, father to 1 daughter. I grew up in this dying Ohio town, played football at Central High, married the prettiest girl in my economics class. I thought I'd done everything right. The thing is, I'm not stupid. I know what working overnight means when your wife has been coming home smelling like expensive cologne that isn't mine. When she's been taking 2-hour showers and checking her phone every 30 seconds. When the lingerie I definitely didn't buy keeps appearing in the laundry. I typed back, "Thanks for letting me know." Then I stood there, breathing hard, staring at the text. My hands were shaking inside the gloves, not from fear, from something else, something cold and calculating that had been building for weeks. She thought I was an idiot, a nice, dumb, blue-collar guy who'd just take it, who'd cry and beg and make it easy for her to play victim. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. I pulled off the gloves and grabbed my keys. It was time to start documenting everything. Moamwith. Our house sat on Maple Street, one of the nicer neighborhoods left in Millbrook. The old money families had mostly moved away when the steel mill closed in the 90s, but a few of us middle-class folks had bought up their houses cheap. Danny loved that. Loved telling people we lived in the historic district. Never mind that half the houses 3 blocks over were boarded up. I drove past Joe Brennan's BMW dealership on Route 40. The showroom lights were still on, casting blue-white glare across the empty lot. Joe's black 7 Series sat in the owner's spot, gleaming like a promise of everything I supposedly wasn't. 52 years old. Self-made car king. Danny's boss at Brennan PR and marketing. Married to Linda, father of 3. Rotary Club president. The kind of guy who wore expensive suits and talked about synergy and leveraging opportunities. The kind of guy who was currently leveraging my wife. I parked across the street at the closed diner and waited. At 1:15 a.m., Danny's silver Lexus pulled into the dealership lot. She got out, looked around nervously, and hurried to the side door. Joe opened it from inside. Even from this distance, I could see him pull her into a kiss. I took 17 photos with my phone. Crystal clear, time-stamped, geotagged. Then I drove home and started packing boxes. Our bedroom closet was a shrine to Danny's ambition. Designer dresses, expensive shoes, handbags that cost more than my truck payment. She'd transformed from the girl who wore jeans and t-shirts in college to someone who wouldn't leave the house without perfect makeup and a $200 outfit. I worked methodically, folding each item, packing it carefully into cardboard boxes I'd grabbed from work. Pants, blouses, dresses, shoes, her jewelry box, her makeup case. Every single thing from her side of the closet went into those boxes. It took me 2 hours. I loaded 12 boxes into my truck, drove back to the dealership, and stacked them neatly in front of the glass entrance doors. Right under the big Brennan Automotive Group sign. I took more photos, set up my phone on the truck hood, and filmed a little video of me walking away from the boxes, giving a sarcastic wave. Then I went home, showered, and went to bed. The call came at 4:07 a.m. "What the hell did you do?" Danny's voice was pure panic, high and shrill. "Why are my clothes at Joe's office? Mike, answer me." I let the silence stretch out, comfortable in my warm bed. "Oh, hey Danny, you're up early, or is it late? Hard to tell when you're working overnight. This isn't funny. There are boxes everywhere." His wife could see them, his employees. "Weird how that works," I said. "Things meant to stay private suddenly becoming very public. Must be uncomfortable. You psycho, you can't just what? Return your work clothes to your workplace? Seems logical to me. You spend so much time there, I figured you'd want your stuff on site, for convenience." I could hear Joe's voice in the background, angry and frightened. "We need to talk," Danny said, her voice dropping to that manipulative tone she used when she wanted something. "Mike, please, come home. We can work this out." "I am home. You're the one who's somewhere else." I paused. Again, I hung up and turned off my phone. Checkmate. Round 1. Danny came home at 6 a.m. with 2 of the boxes. Her makeup was smeared, her hair a mess. She looked like exactly what she was. Our daughter Kayla was eating cereal at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. 17 years old, senior at Central High, caught in the middle of something she didn't fully understand yet. "Dad, what's going on?" Kayla asked, looking between us. "Ask your mother," I said, pouring coffee. "She's been working very hard lately." Danny's eyes were pure hatred. "Mike, we need to talk. Alone. I'm good here." I sat down across from Kayla. "No more secrets in this house." "You're insane," Danny hissed. "You humiliated me. You humiliated Joe." His wife could have seen, but she didn't, did she? I smiled over my coffee mug. Lucky break, this time. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Danny went pale. "I want a divorce," she said. "Sure. I'll have my lawyer draw up papers. Should be interesting, dividing assets. Especially when we discuss grounds for divorce. Adultery really affects the settlement in Ohio, you know?" I didn't actually know if that was true. But she didn't either. Kayla's eyes went wide. "Mom? You cheated?" "It's complicated, honey. It's really not," I said. "Pretty straightforward, actually." Danny grabbed her purse and stormed out. I heard her car screech out of the driveway. Kayla stared at me. "Dad, this is crazy." "Yeah," I agreed. "It really is." The next day, I went to work like normal. Brennan Distribution had no connection to Joe's dealership. Different Brennan family, common name around here. My boss Terry was a decent guy who mostly left me alone to manage the logistics team. At lunch, I drove to the boxing gym on 5th Street. Murphy's Boxing. Old school, smelled like sweat and leather, full of guys who'd rather hit something than talk about their feelings. Coach Ray was in his office, a tiny room with yellowed fight posters on the walls. He was 73, built like a fire hydrant, with scarred knuckles and kind eyes. "You look like hell, Sullivan," he said. "Feel like it too." I sat down heavily. "Danny's been cheating, with her boss." Ray nodded slowly. "Figured something was eating you. You've been hitting that bag like it killed your dog." "I dumped all her clothes at his office last night." Ray's eyebrows went up. Then he laughed, a deep rumble from his chest. "That's cold, kid. Real cold. I'm just getting started." "Be careful," Ray said, serious now. "Revenge is like fighting. You gotta know when to stop punching, or you become the bad guy." Maybe I'm okay with that. Neat. The gossip spread through town like wildfire. Millbrook was small enough that everyone knew everyone's business, and Danny's affair with Joe was premium entertainment. My neighbor, Carol Henderson, cornered me while I was getting my mail. Carol was 65, retired teacher, ran the town's most active Facebook group. She knew everything about everyone. "Mike, I heard about Danny," she said, voice dripping with fake sympathy. "I'm so sorry." "Thanks, Carol. I always thought she was too good for her britches," Carol continued. "All that fancy PR work, looking down on everyone. And Joe Brennan, his poor wife. Linda is such a sweet woman." I just nodded, but inside I was cataloging every word. Carol was a gossip engine. Anything I told her would be all over town by dinner. "You know," I said carefully, "I found receipts for a hotel. The Lakeview Executive Suites, multiple nights over the past 3 months." Carol's eyes lit up like Christmas morning. "No. Yeah, charged to Joe's business account. Wonder if his wife knows he's been expensing his affair." I walked inside, leaving Carol already pulling out her phone. By that evening, my phone was blowing up. Friends, acquaintances, people I barely knew, all reaching out with support that was really just fishing for details. But there was one call that surprised me. "Mike, it's Sierra. Sierra Walsh. Danny's best friend since college. 38, social media influencer. Always perfectly filtered and posed. I'd never liked her. Too fake, too manipulative. But Danny worshipped her." "What do you want, Sierra?" "I want to help you," she said. "Danny's been lying to me too. I had no idea about Joe. I'm furious with her." "Really? Really? Look, I know things. About Joe, about Danny's plans. She's trying to spin this whole thing, make you look crazy and controlling. I can help you get ahead of it." Something felt off, but I was angry enough not to care. "What kind of things?" "Meet me for coffee tomorrow. The Bluebird, 10 a.m. I'll tell you everything." "Morigaramu, the bongand. I've jobiaika. Metafrenishin." The Bluebird Cafe sat on Main Street, one of the few businesses still thriving in downtown Millbrook. Sierra was already there when I arrived, perfectly dressed in designer athleisure, her phone positioned to capture her candid coffee moment. She stood and hugged me, which felt weird and performative. "Sit, please." I sat across from her, wary. First, I want you to know I'm on your side, Sierra said. What Danny did is unforgivable. You deserve better. Okay, Joe's been pursuing her for months. He's a predator, honestly. Uses his position to manipulate women. Sierra leaned in, voice dropping. He's done this before. There was an assistant 2 years ago. Danny knew about it. That hit like a punch to the gut. She knew he was a cheater, and still, she thought she was different, special. Sierra rolled her eyes. Danny's always needed validation. You know that. Joe fed her ego, told her she was brilliant and beautiful, everything she wanted to hear. Why are you telling me this? Because you're a good guy, Mike. And because I'm tired of watching Danny treat people like disposable props in her life story. Sierra pulled out her phone. Look at this. She showed me screenshots of texts between Danny and Joe. Explicit, detailed, planning their next business trip to the Lakeview Executive Suites. Can you send me those? Already did. Sierra smiled. Check your email. I looked at her carefully. What do you get out of this? Satisfaction, she said. And maybe a little payback. Danny's been treating me like her assistant lately. I'm done being used. It made sense, but something in her smile bothered me. That night, I canceled our joint credit cards, called the bank, explained the situation, froze our accounts pending divorce proceedings. Legally gray area, but I didn't care anymore. I also sent an anonymous email to Linda Brennan. Just the screenshots Sierra had given me. No explanation needed. Then I followed Danny. She'd texted that she was staying with Sierra for a few days. But at 8 p.m., her car pulled into the parking lot of the Lakeview Executive Suites, a fancy lakeside conference center that rented rooms for corporate retreats. Joe's BMW was already there. I parked down the road and waited. At 9:30, I walked up to Joe's car. The lot was dark. Cameras pointed at the building entrance, not the parking area. I didn't slash his tires or break his windows. Too obvious, too criminal. Instead, I unscrewed the valve stems on all 4 tires. Slow leak, wouldn't be noticed until morning. Then I took a bottle of paint stripper I'd brought from work and carefully wrote cheater on his hood. Not permanent, would wash off with enough scrubbing, but devastating to his precious BMW. I was walking back to my truck when I saw them through a 3rd-floor window. Danny and Joe, silhouettes against the curtains, wrapped around each other. Something cold settled in my chest. Not jealousy anymore. Just pure, calculated anger. I took more photos, documented everything. Then I drove home. None went on then. The next morning, Joe called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. You son of a bitch, he snarled. You vandalized my car. Did I? That's a serious accusation, Joe. You have proof? I know it was you. Maybe you've got other enemies. Maybe Linda found out about your little executive retreat. Maybe karma's just catching up with you. I paused. How's the car, by the way? Still running smooth? The valve stems would have drained his tires completely by now, and the paint stripper would have started etching into the clear coat. You're going to regret this, Joe threatened. I'll sue you for everything. For what? I haven't done anything illegal. But you know what is illegal, Joe? Embezzlement. Using company funds for personal expenses, like hotel rooms where you're sleeping with your employee. Silence. Yeah, I've got receipts, literally, and I've got a friend at the IRS who'd be very interested in your expense reports. I didn't actually have a friend at the IRS, but Joe didn't know that. What do you want? His voice had changed, scared now. I want you to suffer like I'm suffering. I want your reputation destroyed like you destroyed my marriage. I want everyone in this town to know exactly what kind of man you are. Mike, please, tell Danny she's got 24 hours to move her stuff out of my house. After that, whatever's left goes to Goodwill. I hung up. My phone immediately buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I see you at the Lakeview last night. Be careful, Mike. My blood went cold. Someone had been watching me. The text bothered me all day. Someone knew I'd been at the Lakeview. Someone had photographed me near Joe's car. I called Sierra. Did you tell anyone about our conversation? No, of course not. Why? Someone's watching me. Sent me a threatening text. Oh my God, Mike. Maybe it's Joe? He's got money, he could hire someone. Maybe, but it didn't feel right. Joe was panicking, not strategizing. That evening, Kayla came home from school crying. Everyone's talking about us. Someone posted about Mom and Joe on the school Facebook page. People are calling me names, saying Mom's a homewrecker. My protective instincts flared. Who posted it? I don't know. It's anonymous. But everyone's sharing it. She showed me her phone. The post had photos, my photos, the ones I'd taken of the boxes at Joe's dealership. Kayla, I'm sorry. Are you, though? She looked at me with red eyes. You're the one who made this public. You dumped Mom's clothes at her work. You wanted everyone to know. Your mother made this public when she decided to cheat. You're ruining her life. You're ruining my life. Kayla ran upstairs, slamming her door. I stood in the kitchen, feeling like the villain for the first time. My phone rang. Danny! You happy now? She screamed. Your daughter hates us both. The whole town thinks I'm trash. Joe's wife filed for divorce and she's blaming me for everything. You are to blame for everything. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Mistakes are one-time things, Danny. You made a choice, multiple choices, for months. I want to come home. I want to fix this. No, Mike, please, I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. You love security. You love the house and the reputation and the comfortable life. You don't love me. You probably never did. I hung up and blocked her number. The next day, I got a call from my friend Brad. We'd been close since high school, played football together, stood up at each other's weddings. His wife Jennifer was friends with Danny. Mike, we need to talk, Brad said. Can you meet us for dinner? Us, me, Jennifer, Tom and Sarah. Tom and Sarah Chen were another couple in our friend group. We'd done couples game nights for years. Something in Brad's tone warned me this wasn't a friendly dinner. We met at Antonelli's, an Italian place on the edge of town. Brad, Jennifer, Tom, and Sarah were already at a table when I arrived. Their expressions were serious. What's this about? I sat down. Brad glanced at the others, then said, We're worried about you, man. This thing with Danny, you're taking it too far. Excuse me. Jennifer leaned forward. Mike, we understand you're hurt. What Danny did was wrong. But the way you're handling it, publicly humiliating her, involving Joe's family, turning Kayla's life into a nightmare, it's cruel, cruel, I repeated flatly. Yes, Sarah said. You're being vindictive. You're destroying lives. Danny destroyed our life. So you're going to destroy hers back? Tom shook his head. That's not who you are, Mike. You're a good guy. This revenge thing, it's beneath you. I looked around the table at these people I'd considered my closest friends. Did Danny ask you to do this? She's worried about you, Jennifer said. She thinks you're having a breakdown. A breakdown? I laughed, bitter. That's her spin? I'm crazy, not betrayed? We're not saying she was right, Brad said. But Mike, you need to let this go. File for divorce, split assets, move on. This scorched earth thing is just making you look bad. Making me look bad, I repeated. Not her, me. You're the one acting crazy, Sarah said gently. Stalking them, vandalizing Joe's car. I didn't vandalize anything. Posting private photos online. I didn't post those photos. They all exchanged looks. Mike, Brad said carefully, maybe you should talk to someone, a therapist, because this obsession isn't healthy. I stood up. Let me get this straight. My wife cheats on me for months, lies to my face, destroys our family, and you're all here to tell me I'm the problem? We're here because we care about you, Jennifer said. No, you're here because Danny manipulated you. She's good at that. She convinced you that I'm the villain, that she's the victim, and you all bought it. That's not fair, Tom said. You want to know what's not fair? Having your friends choose your cheating wife over you. Having people who've known you for 20 years decide you're the bad guy because you wouldn't just shut up and take it? Mike, Brad started. We're done here, all of us. Don't call me again. I walked out of the restaurant, shaking with rage. In the parking lot, I sat in my truck and tried to breathe. My phone buzzed, another text from the unknown number. They all turned on you, just like Sierra planned. Check her Instagram from 3 years ago. The charity fraud you exposed? That was her. My blood went cold. 3 years ago, I discovered that a local charity event was a scam. The organizer had been pocketing donations. I'd reported it anonymously, and the whole thing had blown up publicly. The organizer's name had been Sarah Walsh, Sierra's maiden name. Sierra. Sierra had been feeding me information about Danny. Sierra had been so supportive, so helpful. Sierra had access to all my photos because I'd been emailing her updates. Sierra had posted those photos online. Sierra was orchestrating everything. I sat in my truck outside Antonelli's, pieces clicking into place. Sierra had been playing me from the start. She'd encouraged my revenge, fed me information, pushed me to escalate. She'd made sure the photos went public, destroying both Danny's reputation and mine. She'd probably convinced our friends that I was dangerous. Why? Because 3 years ago, I'd exposed her charity fraud. She'd lost her reputation, her social standing, had to rebuild everything, and she'd blamed me. This whole thing, Danny's affair, my revenge, the public humiliation, Sierra had weaponized all of it. I called Coach Ray. I need your help. What's wrong? Everything. Can I come by? 30 minutes later, I was in Ray's office, telling him everything. He listened without interrupting, his old fighter's face unreadable. So what are you going to do? He finally asked. I'm going to end this, all of it, publicly. How? The fall festival is this weekend. Danny's company is sponsoring it. She's supposed to give a speech at the main stage Saturday afternoon. Ray raised an eyebrow. You're going to crash it. I'm going to tell the truth, all of it. Danny's affair, Joe's embezzlement, Sierra's manipulation, everything, in front of the whole town. That's either genius or suicide. Maybe both. I stood up. Thanks, Coach. Mike. Ray's voice stopped me. Remember what I said about knowing when to stop punching? I remember. This is your last punch. Make it count, then walk away. Don't become the monster. The Millbrook Fall Festival was the biggest event of the year. The whole downtown was blocked off, vendors lined the streets, and the main stage in Town Square hosted speeches and performances all day. Saturday afternoon, the square was packed, hundreds of people, maybe more. The weather was perfect, crisp October air, leaves turning gold and red. I stood at the edge of the crowd, watching the stage. Joe was up there, giving some speech about community and supporting local business. The irony was thick enough to choke on. Danny stood off to the side, with other PR people, looking professional in a navy dress. Sierra was next to her, filming everything for Instagram. My daughter Kayla was there too, with some friends, looking miserable. Joe finished his speech to polite applause. The festival coordinator took the mic. Thank you, Joe. Next up, we have Danny Sullivan, from Brennan PR and Marketing. He'll talk about this year's community initiatives. Danny walked to the mic, smiling her public smile. I moved through the crowd toward the stage. She started her speech. Thank you all for coming today. Community is what makes Millbrook special. I climbed the steps to the stage. The coordinator tried to stop me, but I was bigger and determined. Mike? Danny's voice cracked. What are you? I took the microphone from her hand. Sorry to interrupt everyone, but I think the community deserves to hear the truth about some things, the crowd murmured. Phones came out, started recording. Joe was moving toward me, but I spoke fast.
My name is Mike Sullivan. Some of you know me.
Some of you have heard stories about me lately, that I'm crazy, that I'm obsessed, that I'm harassing my wife. I looked directly at Danny. The truth is, my wife has been having an affair with her boss, Joe Brennan, for the past 6 months. Gasps from the crowd. Joe froze. Danny went pale. I know this because I have documentation. Photos, texts, hotel receipts. Joe's been using company funds to pay for their affair. That's embezzlement, by the way. Fraud. Illegal. You son of a bitch, Joe snarled, rushing at me. I sidestepped easily. Coach Ray's training paid off. Joe stumbled, his momentum carrying him forward. I stuck out my foot. Joe Brennan, pillar of the community, car dealership king, fell face first into the decorative fountain at the edge of the stage. Water splashed everywhere. The crowd gasped. Then some people started laughing. But wait, I continued into the mic, there's more. Because this whole situation has been manipulated by someone else. Sierra Walsh, I pointed at her in the crowd, has been orchestrating this drama for her own revenge. 3 years ago, I exposed her charity fraud. She's been feeding me information, encouraging my revenge, and making sure everything went public to destroy both my reputation and my wife's. Sierra's face went from shock to rage. She started pushing through the crowd toward the exit. And finally, I said, pulling an envelope from my pocket. There's this. Danny, you should probably open this. It's a DNA test for Kayla. The crowd went dead silent. Danny's face went from pale to green. You didn't. I did. Because I remembered that 17 years ago, you went on a girls' trip with Sierra. And when you came back, you were pregnant. And I've always wondered why Kayla doesn't look anything like me. It was a bluff. I hadn't actually done a DNA test, but Danny didn't know that. Her expression told me everything. Guilt, panic, horror. "Oh my God," someone in the crowd whispered. "Kayla's not his?" I looked out at the crowd, found my daughter's face. She was staring at me with wide, shocked eyes. "Actually," I said into the mic, "I lied. I didn't do a DNA test. Kayla is my daughter. I know that. But I needed everyone to see your face, Danny, to see the guilt. Because you weren't sure, were you? You weren't completely sure who Kayla's father was." Danny collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Joe was climbing out of the fountain, soaking wet, his expensive suit ruined. The crowd was in chaos, some filming, some gasping, some cheering. I walked to the edge of the stage and tossed the empty envelope into the fountain. Then I grabbed Joe's car keys from where they'd fallen on the stage. His BMW was parked right on Main Street, in front of everyone. I walked to it calmly, took my house key from my pocket, and carved "Home Wrecker" into the driver's side door. Deep, permanent scratches. Joe was screaming, running toward me. Security was trying to get through the crowd. I dropped his keys in the fountain, walked over to where Sierra was being blocked by the crowd, and plucked her phone from her hand. She grabbed for it, but I held it high. "This has everything," I told the crowd. "All her manipulations, all her planning. Someone might want to check it before she deletes everything." I handed the phone to Carol Henderson, who looked thrilled to be part of the drama. Then I walked back to the stage, where Danny was still on her knees. I pulled off my wedding ring and dropped it in the fountain with Joe's keys. "We're done," I said. "All of us. This whole toxic mess is done." I walked off the stage. The crowd parted for me. I could hear Kayla calling Dad, but I kept walking. Coach Ray was waiting at the edge of the square. He held out his fist, and I bumped it. "That was one hell of a last punch," he said. "Yeah." I felt empty, exhausted, but also strangely free. It was. Behind us, the festival had erupted into complete chaos. Security was trying to restore order. Danny was being helped off the stage by someone. Joe was screaming about pressing charges. Sierra was arguing with Carol about her phone. "What now?" Ray asked. "Now I go home, pack up Kayla's stuff and mine, and we leave this town. Start over somewhere nobody knows us." "Running? No. Walking away. There's a difference." We started toward the parking lot. My phone was blowing up with texts and calls, but I ignored them all, except one. From Kayla. "Dad, we need to talk. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Can you pick me up?" I texted back. "On my way." Darbo. 3 hours later. Kayla and I were in my truck, heading out of Millbrook. Everything we cared about was packed in the back. Everything else could burn for all I cared. "Where are we going?" Kayla asked. "I don't know yet. Somewhere new. Somewhere we can breathe. I can't believe Mom did all that. I can't believe any of it. People are complicated, Kay. Your mom isn't evil. She's just broken, and she made bad choices. Are you really not my dad?" I looked at her. "I'm absolutely your dad. Biology doesn't matter. I've been your dad since the day you were born, and I'll be your dad until the day I die." She started crying, and I pulled over. We sat on the side of the highway, and I held my daughter while she sobbed out 17 years of confusion and hurt. "I love you, Dad," she finally said. "I love you too, kiddo." We got back on the road. In the rearview mirror, Millbrook disappeared behind us. My phone rang one last time. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Mike Sullivan?" A woman's voice. Professional. "Yeah? This is Detective Sarah Chen with the Ohio State Police. We've received multiple complaints about incidents at today's festival. We're going to need you to come in for questioning." My stomach dropped. Am I being charged with something? That depends on what we find. Vandalism, harassment, possibly assault. Mr. Brennan is very motivated to press charges. I understand. Where are you now? I looked at Kayla, then at the road ahead. I'm with my daughter. We're leaving town. But I'll be back to face whatever charges you want to file. I'm not running from anything. See that you do. We'll be in touch. She hung up. Kayla looked at me, scared. Dad? It's okay. Whatever happens, it's okay. I told the truth. I exposed their lies. If that's a crime, then I'll deal with it. But I'm not sorry. Will you go to jail? Maybe. Probably not. Worst case, I pay some fines, do some community service. Best case, they realize I didn't actually do anything illegal. We drove in silence for a while. Dad? Kayla said quietly. At the festival, When you said all that stuff, you called yourself the villain. Did I? You said they called me the villain. But villains, at least, tell the truth. I thought about that. About everything I'd done. The humiliation, the revenge, the public destruction of multiple lives. Maybe I am the villain, I said. Or maybe there are no villains and heroes, just people making choices. I made mine. Your mom made hers. We all have to live with the consequences. I think you're a hero, Kayla said. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt tired and angry and sad and free, all at once. But I also felt honest. For the first time in months, everything was out in the open. No more secrets, no more lies, no more pretending. The road stretched ahead of us, leading somewhere new. Somewhere without Danny's betrayal, or Joe's smugness, or Sierra's manipulation. Somewhere we could rebuild. Hey Kay, I said. Yeah? How do you feel about Colorado? I hear they're hiring at logistics companies out there. She smiled, small but real. Colorado sounds good. We drove west, toward the mountains, toward whatever came next. Behind us, Millbrook burned with gossip and scandal, and the wreckage of the lives I'd destroyed. I didn't look back.